Hello golfers, it's John Dunigan coming at you from the car with a hopefully very long series of very short videos on some of the observations that I have had in coaching, in learning, training, and performing over 36 years in the business of coaching folks. So today, I would like to introduce to you a new word. It's called calibrationism. When you write books, you get to make up words, so there you go. Calibrationism is a process that we should undergo in golf pretty much constantly. If you think about contacting the golf ball, I don't believe someone can teach you how to make good contact with the golf ball. They can teach you the principles, they can teach you the whys and whatnots and all that good stuff, but they can't actually teach you to do it. Not even me. What we have to do is put you in a learning environment where you can learn how to experience solid content for yourself. So one of my favorite sayings, if you've seen me doing any of the talks I give, I almost always use my Einstein quote: learning is experience. Everything else is just information. And I couldn't believe that more. I take that very much to my heart in instruction. So, back to the word calibrationism. Well, let's say it is just you're a newer golfer or you're a golfer struggling with making solid contact. The low point of the swing, which is the bottom of the swing arc, that's where the golf club bottoms out. Ideally, hopefully you know this, you should, when the ball is on the ground, you should hit the ball first, ground second. So the low point, bottom of the divot if you will, would be after ball contact. Some folks have the low point behind or before ball contact. That'd be a fat shot. But here's one of the things. The fat shot and the thin shot are the same thing. In both those cases, I would say 90% of the time, the fat shot and the thin shot, top shot, the low point is behind or before ball impact. Kind of crazy because you get two radically different results. One of them really sucks. Fat, ball goes nowhere. Thin or half topped, at least we can play that. Nonetheless, the problem is the low point's too far backward. Now, I can go ahead and put you on my Swing Catalyst. I could put you on my K-Vest 3D or AMM. I could put you on all kinds of video and high speed and TrackMan and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the first thing that you should do is start calibrating where you hit the ground. Now, a great American once said, if the ball's on the ground, you got to hit down. So give me turf or give me death. First, I would suggest that you constantly bounce the club off the ground. Even if it's somewhat random where relative to impact the club bounces. And thump is not a bad word either. I don't really want it to graze off the ground or barely brush. I want it to definitely bounce, although you don't get any points for taking giant divots, folks. And hitting down does not make it go up, just so you know. So, first, you've got to get used to hitting the ground. Then, you've got to get better at controlling just where it hits the ground relative to the golf ball. This cannot be taught, but it can only be learned. You might do stuff like line drills. You might do any manner of things that could greatly help you develop the skill. But the fact of the matter is this: you will learn it. But it's going to take some serious experience. So I want you to calibrate, put a tee in the ground, put it barely in the ground so that it's not even hardly above. See if you can hit the ball and see where you bounce off the ground. Bounce off the ground every time. Start working that bounce point to in front of, or after the tee, so it'd be ball then turf, and goof around with it. Goof around with it a ton. Try different things, but you want to always start with, what do you want to do with your golf club? Get the club in your brain. Your brain's going to go, okay, Dunigan wants me to get my club over here. And your brain will start to organize your movement. You don't want to start with how to move. That puts your brain, it grinds the gears of your brain. I'm only going to jump in there and start teaching somebody how to move when they simply cannot get it done for one reason or the other. But I will always let them struggle a bit first to get it. So, we're going to calibrate hitting the ground. Going to calibrate where it hits the ground. And we might even do something goofy like 2 other great drills. One is called the elevator, where I might put a ball on a tee this high, then a tee this low, then on the ground, then a tee this high, and randomly fix them. I usually use 6 golf balls in no particular order, where the golfer has to learn this variability training, adapting to different heights. I call it the elevator. And you might do the some and none drill. Okay, take some turf on this one, none on this one, some. And it's hard, but it's the only way to learn. It comes back to our idea of, well, one of my favorites is, I ask my students, who's the greatest golf teacher that ever lived? And they go, it's you, coach. And I go, no, it's Goldilocks. Goldilocks, the story of Goldilocks, if you haven't heard it, you're unfamiliar with it, Goldilocks is simply put, the bed's too hard, too soft, or just right. Or the food is too hot, too cold, just right. Well, the bottom of your swing is too far back, too far forward, or just right. And I want you to play with it and explore these options and have a huge time with it. And don't be afraid to struggle. Struggle is how you learn. You didn't learn how to run before you learned how to stand up, did you? So there you go. Calibrate the bottom of the swing. That's first. Hit them great. Follow me. I'll be on Instagram. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be on YouTube again. I really slacked on YouTube. Sorry, folks. But it's coming. It's going to be an onslaught. It's going to be awesome. Hit them great.